Hey everybody, it's Midwest Comic Man with Inside the Covers, Episode 3. Today we're going to continue our run through Planet Comics with Planet Comics number 3 from Fiction House. So let's get right into it. We start with a great cover by the great Will Eisner. You have space combat up in the sky, a bug-eyed monster in the background, and Flint Baker blasting through a glass window to stop a villain about to kill a girl. This is some great stuff. Then on the inside front cover, this was really interesting to me. In their continuing quest to have people cut up their comics, they started a contest with clues in 4 of their comics. You get all 4 clues, clip 4 coupons, and submit a solution for a chance to win money. That's kind of neat, but you still gotta cut up your comics. First story is Planetary Adventures of Flint Baker on Pluto by Stargazer, a totally legit name. We begin with Flint and Mimi leaving Mars and Princess Vega to head back to Earth. The fact that they reference earlier stories makes this one of the first meager attempts at continuity of comics I've ever seen. I know DC and Timely, it was just, whatever happened and was contained in that issue. And then Mimi, in her desire to continue their adventures, changes their course and hopes Flint won't get mad. However, he does discover the change, and they're almost out of fuel. So on the next page, the ship is headed towards Pluto. That's not a minor course change. Mimi admits she changed the course for excitement, and Flint gets a little salty, saying it'll be great fun when they starve. But Mimi has disappeared, and a fiendish creature appears. Arrgh! Next page, Flint socks the creature in the mouth, but more appear. They overwhelm Flint with their hands and their tails. I just realized that we don't have the 2 convict assistants in this issue. I wonder if they stayed on Mars. The next page, dragged to a cave in the mountainside, Flint is brought to where Mimi is bound on an island, surrounded by boiling oil. The master commands Flint be thrown in the oil, but when he's thrown in, he soars above it using a magnetic belt. On the next page, Flint sweeps down on the Plutonian leader and adjusts his attitude with some good old Earth fisticuffs. He releases Mimi, and they begin to look for a way to escape. On the next page, he realizes his belt is too weak to lift both of them, so Flint and Mimi flee along a narrow ledge. Flint rolls a huge boulder down on their pursuers and throws rocks at them, but more and more of them are following. Finally, they reach their disabled ship, and Flint tells Mimi to prepare the ray gun for a hot reception. Hundreds of Plutonians run into the line of fire, and with a massive boom, Flint partakes in a little Plutonian genocide, sending the survivors running. The next page, the Plutonian leader survives and plans his revenge. He orders his men to bring out the land ship. The Plutonians board the ship and begin to speed after Flint and Mimi. Unwilling to risk another frontal attack, the Plutonian leader orders his men to set the mineralized lake afire. This creates a massive smoke screen that settles around Flint's ship. The next page, the leader orders his men to attack and kill Flint and capture Mimi. The Plutonian ray guns cannot pierce the ship's hull, so the Plutonians pick up the entire ship and transport it to the cave. Flint thinks they're goners. On the next page, the Plutonians set a guard so they can cut apart the ship at their leisure. Flint, in a blast of knowledge, realizes they can use the oil as fuel, so gets his ray gun so he can go after it. On the next page, Flint uses the ray on the mountainside, causing the oil to spill out. Mimi siphons the oil into the ship as Flint holds off the enemy, and they soon blast off for Earth again. And we have the promise of more Flint and Mimi in the next issue. Next up, we have a new feature, Amazon, the Mighty Woman. Amazona, the Mighty Woman. Amazona is the last of a race of super people. She has great strength and unsurpassed beauty and lives in the far north. We see the ship, the SS Walrus, wrecked in the ice. Blake Manners, the last survivor, searches for food and shelter. The next page, he comes upon a strange structure and finds people inside. They are Amazona's ancient race, and they tell Blake the story of their ancestors as they feed him a great feast. The next page, Blake pledges to return to America. Amazona is smitten with the stranger and begs him to take her along. Finally, Blake is convinced to take her back to civilization. The next page, Blake has no idea how to release the ship from the ice. Amazona says, "I'll take care of this." She grabs an axe and gets to work, lifting huge sheets of ice away from the ship. Soon, they are on their way back to America. Back in America, Blake's boss, the editor of a major paper, assigns him to the Society News to give him a break. Blake isn't happy about it, but he calls Amazona to accompany him on his first social function. Amazona is kind of afraid of what people are going to think of her. On the next page, the cab driver compliments Amazona on her beauty, and she loses her flippin' mind. She jerks him from his seat, whacks him one, and then she goes full Amazon and beats the snot out of the cab, causing Blake to apologize to the cab driver. Pretty simple, just, I'm sorry I ruined your car. Next page, once at the function, Amazona pledges to not embarrass Blake. Suddenly, a gang of stick-up men arrive at the function. This is the first and last mistake. Amazona and Blake swing in action and tear into the crooks. The next page, the thugs are trying to escape, and Amazona swings from a chandelier to chase them. They get outside and are run away, but Amazona quickly follows, and with a burst of speed, she's after them. The next page, she jumps on the running board of a car Blake somehow acquired. Not quite sure how, because they took a cab there. As they come aside the crooks, Amazona jumps between the cars, landing on the running board of the criminal's car. On the next page, startled, the crook tries to defend himself from Amazona and swerves all over the road. Suddenly, a curve on a cliff road appears, and with a gasp from Amazona, the car plunges over the cliff. The next page, Blake rushes to the car, convinced Amazona must have been killed. As he approaches, the car bursts into flame and a bloody hand reaches out. Blake pulls the unconscious thug from the car, saving his life. Before he can rescue any of the others, however, the car explodes and Blake despairs. But Amazona is alive and unharmed up in a tree. Blake calls his boss and says he'll give him a scoop on a robbery if he's taken off the society pages. Blake wins and will be assigned to all the murders in town, and we will have the promise of more Amazona next issue. Next, we have Red Comet, which I think was in the first issue, but not the second. Red Comet is cruising through space when he gets a message from Golo, ruler of the Jovian giants. He threatens unless someone challenges his army, he's going to attack the planets one by one. Red Comet immediately starts to head to Jupiter. Next page, Red Comet gets to Jupiter and shrinks down using magic to sneak in. He gets to the king and challenges the king, who laughs at the thought of this mouse defeating his army. But Red Comet laughs as well and says, "Let's see who's laughing at the end." That night, a guard comes running to the king, and they find an entire squadron of dead giants in the courtyard. King doesn't know who did it. Couldn't have been that little man. The next night, he waits and sees a massive giant towering over his men and killing them in the courtyard again. After the second massacre, the king wonders what's happening. Red Comet, in his miniature form, climbs on his knee and asks if he's ready to surrender. The giant swats him away and tries to step on him. On the next page, the Red Comet suddenly grows to a size greater than the giant. He again says to the king, "Will you accept my challenge?" He tells the giant there is always someone bigger than you and socks him into next week, telling him he better not challenge the universe. With that, we close with the promise of more adventures to come. And now, our favorite is back, Spurt Hammond. While he's passing Mercury, his astrograph picks up the scene of a beautiful girl being grabbed. Suddenly, a huge hand appears and a gigantic figure grabs two men. Then there's a violent explosion. So Spurt turns to Mercury and lands and finds the girl chained in the smoking ruins. Turns out she is Princess Zilla, and her prime minister is attempting to conquer the world by turning men into monsters. The horrors. Next page, Spurt and Zilla head to the prime minister's stronghold. His name is Rodgio, where he is revealing his plan to his confederates. He shows them a 6-armed super robot, mindless and subject only to Rodgio's will. He heads to his lab to work on the robot. The next page, Spurt and Zilla run into Rodgio's giant that was in the first page. It begins to chase them. However, with perfect timing, Spurt drops a portcullis on it, impales it, and leaves it dead in a pool of its own blood. On the next page, in his lab, Rodgio places a captive in his monster-making machine. Wonder where Wimp picks one of those up. The diabolic device turns the man into the giant 6-armed robot, which is chained to the wall with magnetic manacles. Rodgio decides he needs more humans to create an army of these. At that very moment, Spurt bursts in. Rodgio reaches to release his monster, but he's too late. Spurt has him covered with his ray gun. Spurt knocks him out and drags him to his own machine. Spurt changes the machine to reverse, hoping it'll turn them into a dwarf instead of a giant. On the next page, Rodgio is now a puppet. Spurt releases the creature to turn it back to a human, but Rodgio orders it to attack Spurt. Spurt shoots it with his ray gun, causing it to fall onto the machine and destroy it. Meanwhile, Rodgio runs afoul of a rat and becomes lunch. Spurt tells Zilla she is safe and rockets away for more next issue. Next, we have a text story called The Lizard Men of Alpha Astra. I'll try to make this as brief as possible. It has a journey to explore planet Astra, which has the power to lessen or intensify the rays of the sun. After landing, Captain Ames leads a group to explore, but during the exploration he sees shapes passing in and out of his ship. It has been captured. On the next page, they find out the attackers are lizard men. Ames and his men rush back to the ship. Finding one of them captured, they use an aura cap to steal the thoughts of the lizard. They find out where the prisoners are being held, including the female, because there's always a female captive in a fiction house. Ames and his men journey to rescue them. They slaughter the lizards en masse and rescue the humans, and race back to their ship with the lizards in pursuit. Sounds like we might have more of this story because it ends with the chase. Next, we have Buzz Crandall of the Space Patrol. Buzz and the scientist daughter from the previous story, Sandra, head to Outpost 82, a base in a crater on the moon. Next page, we find out that Outpost 82 has lost contact with Outpost 83. Buzz and Sandra volunteer to go search Outpost 83. They begin the journey in their moon car, the Autoped. As they near Post 83, they're set upon by moon bats, which damage the car seriously. The next page, Buzz saves them from the creatures, but the ship is damaged and must be repaired. As he repairs it, Sandra goes to explore. That sounds a little dangerous, considering what's going on. And suddenly, Sandra is trapped in the coils of a huge monster. Next page, Buzz calls to Sandra, but he gets no answer. He gets in the repaired Autoped to search for her, and is also attacked by the same creature. It's a lunar land squid, and the entire Autoped is swallowed by the monster. Inside the belly of the beast, Buzz sees the entire remains of Post 83 in skeletal form, as well as Sandra. He drops from the Autoped and grabs Sandra. They start the motors and try to escape. He blasts his way out of the mouth, and they head back to Post 82 with news of the destruction of Post 83. And we'll have more of Buzz Crandall in the next issue. Next, we have Captain Nelson Cole of the Solar Force. Apparently, pirate ships keep attacking space transports, so Captain Cole is called in. He says he'll take a convoy of the Solar Force to protect the transports and hunt down the pirates. The next page, the pirates are lurking out in space, led by the devious Felon. He plans to control all space when he finishes his invention, the Interceptor. His men swoop down on a transport carrying cargo and paralyze the motors with magno rays. The ship is crippled and at the mercy of the pirates. The next page, the ship is looted and left to flounder in space. Meanwhile, Cole and his group is escorting the fleets. He is called to a meeting and told radio and TV waves have been intercepted. Uh-oh, sounds like Felon has got his interceptor. So Cole sends out a decoy ship to lure in the pirates. The next page, the pirates attack the decoy and attach to the ship. While they are inside, Cole swoops down and enters the ship. He surprises the pirates and tells them, "You're not going to find anything of value here." The next page, Cole proceeds to wipe the floor with the pirates. But in the excitement, Felon escapes. He gets into his ship and blasts off. But Cole immediately runs to his ship and gives chase. The next page, Cole is catching up to Felon. But all of a sudden, Felon's ship takes a sudden nosedive. Cole's ship can't do that. So he decides to spiral down to land, while Felon gets out of his ship and runs into a large fort. Next page, Cole lands and warily approaches the fortress. He appears unarmed, but he has a ray gun in his belt buckle. He approaches with his arms raised, and guards come out to search him. Next page, Cole is searched, and the pirates find no weapons. Cole is brought before Felon, who says Cole was foolish to try and trap him. Cole says, "Yo, man, I'm not trying to trap you. I'm here to offer you my services. And here's a little tidbit. The Solar Force is planning to counter your radio interceptor." Felon says, well, follow me. The next page, he brings Cole to his laboratory and starts to show off his interceptor machine. Cole begins to ask questions. And while Felon is thinking of an answer, and before he can make a move, Cole leaps and flips off the master switch, freeing the radio waves. The next page, Felon calls his guards and says that was not too smart, but Cole makes quick work of them. Alarmed, Felon calls more guards, who line up in front of Cole, ready to dish out a big dose of punishment. Next page, Cole leaps into action, jumping into the fray like Gru the Wanderer and laying waste to all before him. But more pirates keep coming, and Cole is forced to use his ray, blasting them into oblivion. But while this is going on, Felon reaches his own ray gun and turns it on Cole. The next page, Felon launches another attack, but this time he's met by the Space Force. Cole wakes up from the ray where he had only been stunned instead of killed because the shock passed through his body. He sees the fight on his iconoscope and begins directing the Solar Force into the attack. The next page, directed by Cole, the Solar Force makes quick work of the pirates, and Cole captures the few who flee. Back on Earth, he's congratulated for his work, and we will have further adventures. And we have the clue for the case of the Diamond Death. It's clue number 4, so we only have part of what we need, but we have a start. Next, we have Oro, Lord of Jupiter. Oro is practicing stunts at his palace to maintain his build, and he finishes off with a triple somersault, landing on top of a wall at the end. The next page, villagers come to the castle. They're telling stories of a flying dragon with the brain of a man, carrying off villagers by the dozen. Oro learns what he can and pledges to stop the creature. Later, a strange man gains an audience with Oro and says, "You're gonna go out and kill the dragon?" Oro says, "Yes." "Why are you here?" He says, "I'm there to take you out." As those words come out of his mouth, the man transforms into the hideous dragon. He reaches out for Oro, who springs into action, picking up circular objects from a table to hurl at the dragon. Next page, the dragon lets out a shriek and tears away, convinced that Oro is about to start throwing bombs at him. It's really only an apple. Oro arms himself and gives chase, finding a complete kingdom inside the wilderness. Suddenly, a leopard attacks. Oro makes quick work of the beasts, but he's felled by a thrown rock to the head. Bet that hurt. When he gets up, The Dragon Man is there, holding Oro's gun. He tells Oro, "This kingdom was built by those I kidnapped." But then he says, "When I'm hungry, I eat those people, which is what I'm going to do to you now." Oro leaps into a tree, draws his sword, and leaps into the dragon's mouth, driving his sword through the neck and mortally wounding the beast. He goes and rescues the remaining villagers, and we'll have more Oro next issue. The next page has some mysteries of the universe, like that the sun has no surface, but is a ball of flaming vapor. I guess they did know that, even though in the last issue they had him land on the sun. I don't know. We also have an ad where you can make mad money and prizes by doing what appears to be rabbit torture. I don't know. Rabbit can't be happy to be hanging from his ears like that. And then on the inside back cover, we have an ad for all the Fiction House magazines, including Jungle, Fight, and Jumbo, as well as all the release dates for the issues. And again, a push for the Manhunter contest. It is kind of a neat idea. And then on the back cover, we have a special offer to get a typing desk for $1 with the purchase of any Remington typewriter. Truly, our parents and grandparents lived in exciting times. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and sub me up. I've put my website for my cleaning and pressing business in the description below. I'm continuing to make updates to the site as time allows. If you need any info, my email address is on the website. The next episode of Creator Spotlight will highlight Nick Cardy, an artist who only recently started getting the accolades he's due. Stay tuned for that, as well as the next episode of Inside the Covers, which will spotlight Planet Comics number 4. If there are any creators you would like to be spotlighted, or an issue you would like to see on Inside the Covers, please let me know in the comments below. Make sure you tune in for Comic Core on Friday nights, and Blast It or Stash It on Sunday nights. Until next time, this is Midwest Comic Man, coming at you from the funny pages.